Keanu Reeves was a man who seemed to live in two worlds at once. To millions of people around the globe, he was a Hollywood star, famous for his roles in action-packed movies and heartfelt dramas. But to those who knew him personally, or even strangers who crossed paths with him, he was something else entirely. A kind, humble, and deeply thoughtful individual. On a sunny afternoon in Los Angeles, Keanu decided to step away from the glitz and glamour of his career and take a simple walk through one of the city's many parks. He didn't expect anything unusual to happen that day. In fact, he wanted nothing more than to enjoy some peace and quiet, away from cameras, interviews, and the constant buzz of fame. The park was alive with activity. Families picnicked on blankets. Spread across the grass, children laughed as they chased each other, and couples strolled hand in hand along the winding paths. Birds chirped overhead, and the faint sound of a guitar drifted from somewhere nearby. It was the kind of scene that made Keanu feel grounded, reminding him of the beauty in everyday moments. As he walked slowly, hands tucked into the pockets of his jeans, he noticed a small crowd gathered near the entrance of the park. At first, he thought it might be a street performer or someone selling handmade crafts. But as he drew closer, he saw something quite different. There, under the shade of a large tree, stood two young children behind a makeshift table. The table was covered with a colorful cloth, and on top of it lay a collection of toys. There were dolls, puzzles, and even a few board games. But what caught Keanu's attention most was a bright red toy car sitting front and center. It wasn't new. It showed signs of wear with scratches on its surface and a missing wheel, but it still looked like it had plenty of stories left to tell. Beside the table, a handwritten sign read, "Helping Mom Pay Bills." Written in colorful markers, the words were slightly crooked but full of heart. Standing beside the table were two kids, twins by the looks of it. One was a girl with curly brown hair tied back in a ponytail, while the other was a boy wearing a baseball cap turned backward. Both wore big smiles, though their eyes betrayed a hint of nervousness. They couldn't have been older than 8 or 9. Keanu felt drawn to them immediately. Something about their presence tugged at his curiosity. Without hesitation, he approached the table and bent down slightly so he could speak to them at eye level. "Hi there," Keanu said warmly, offering a friendly smile. "What are you guys up to?" The twins exchanged quick glances before the girl spoke up. "We're selling our old toys," she explained, her voice filled with pride. "We want to help our mom because she works really hard." Her brother nodded eagerly. "Yeah, she does 2 jobs, but sometimes it's still not enough. So we thought, maybe if we sell these, we can give her the money." Keanu's heart swelled hearing their explanation. These children weren't just playing pretend, they were genuinely trying to make a difference in their family's life. He picked up the red toy car and examined it closely. "This is a cool car," he remarked. "How much are you selling it for?" $5, the boy replied confidently, though his cheeks flushed a little as if he wasn't sure whether the price was fair. Keanu smiled again and reached into his wallet. "I'll take it," he said, handing over a $10 bill. When the girl tried to give him change, he shook his head. "Keep it. You earned it." The twins' faces lit up with excitement. "Thank you so much," they exclaimed in unison. For a moment, Keanu forgot he was a celebrity. All that mattered was the joy radiating from these two kids, who were doing everything they could to support their mom. As Keanu continued walking through the park, the toy car tucked safely into his pocket, he found himself thinking about the twins and their story. What kind of mother would inspire such determination in her children? How difficult must her life be if her kids felt compelled to step up and help in such a selfless way? Questions swirled in his mind, and the more he thought about it, the harder it became to ignore the nagging feeling that there was more to this story. That evening, instead of heading straight home, Keanu sat down at his computer with a cup of tea. He opened a browser and began searching online for any clues about the twins and their mom. He remembered the name they mentioned earlier, Sarah, and used it as a starting point. After scrolling through countless pages and clicking on various links, he stumbled upon a crowdfunding page. The photo at the top of the page confirmed what he suspected. It was Sarah, the twins' mom. Her tired yet determined expression matched the image Keanu had imagined, based on the kid's description. Reading through the details of the campaign, Keanu learned that Sarah had been widowed several years ago after her husband passed away unexpectedly, due to illness. Left to raise Mia and Max on her own, she took on whatever work she could find, often juggling multiple jobs just to keep food on the table and a roof over their heads. Despite her efforts, financial struggles persisted. Medical bills, rent payments, and daily expenses piled up faster than she could manage. Yet, despite all the hardships, Sarah remained committed to giving her children a stable and loving environment. Keanu felt a lump form in his throat as he scrolled further. Comments from friends, neighbors, and even strangers poured in, praising Sarah for her strength and resilience. Some shared stories of how she always went out of her way to help others, even when she herself was struggling. Others offered words of encouragement, urging her to keep fighting. It was clear that Sarah was a woman who inspired admiration and respect wherever she went. But what struck Keanu the most was the pure love and unity within the family. The twins' decision to sell their toys wasn't born out of desperation. It came from a place of deep affection and gratitude for their mom. They wanted to ease her burden, no matter how small the contribution might seem. This realization hit Keanu hard. In a world where people often focused on themselves, here were two young souls putting others before themselves, without expecting anything in return. By the time Keanu closed his laptop, he knew one thing for certain. He couldn't walk away from this story. Something inside him told him that he needed to act. Whether it was fate or coincidence that brought him to that park that day, Keanu believed it was his responsibility to step in and offer help. Little did he know, this decision would set off a chain of events that would change not only Sarah and her children's lives, but also his own perspective on kindness and humanity. The next morning, Keanu woke up with a clear sense of purpose. He couldn't stop thinking about Sarah and her children. Their story lingered in his mind like a song he couldn't forget. It wasn't just their struggles that moved him, it was their spirit. The way the twins had taken matters into their own hands showed a level of maturity and love that was rare, especially for kids their age. Keanu knew he wanted to help, but he also understood that true assistance went beyond just writing a check. He needed a plan, something thoughtful and sustainable that would make a lasting impact on their lives. After finishing his breakfast, Keanu picked up his phone and called an old friend named Lisa. She was the founder of a nonprofit organization that supported single-parent families, helping them gain access to resources like job training, education programs, and financial counseling. Over the years, Keanu had worked with Lisa on several charitable projects, and he trusted her judgment completely. When she answered the call, Keanu wasted no time getting to the point. "Lisa, I need your help," he said earnestly. "I met this family yesterday, 2 kids and their mom. They're going through some tough times, and I want to do more than just give them money. Can we set up something long-term?" Lisa listened carefully as Keanu explained everything: the toy car, the crowdfunding page, and the twins' determination to help their mom. By the end of the conversation, she was already brainstorming ideas. "Leave it to me," she assured him. "We'll create a tailored support system for them. Let's start by stabilizing their finances and then focus on empowering Sarah so she can build a better future for her family." With Lisa's promise in mind, Keanu decided to take immediate action. He went online and made an anonymous donation to Sarah's crowdfunding campaign. It wasn't a small amount. He contributed enough to cover her overdue bills and provide a cushion for the coming months. But anonymity mattered to Keanu. He didn't want recognition or gratitude. He simply wanted to ease the weight on Sarah's shoulders. After completing the transaction, he felt a wave of relief. Knowing that the family would have one less thing to worry about brought him comfort, but he also knew this was only the beginning. Later that day, Keanu paid a visit to a local grocery store. He filled 2 shopping carts with essentials: rice, pasta, canned goods, fresh vegetables, milk, eggs, and even a few treats like cookies and juice boxes for the twins. As he checked out, The cashier raised an eyebrow at the sheer volume of items but didn't say anything. Keanu loaded everything into his car and drove straight to the address listed on the crowdfunding page. It wasn't far from the park where he'd met Mia and Max, tucked away in a modest neighborhood lined with small houses and overgrown trees. When Keanu arrived, he parked his car a short distance away and walked to the front door carrying several bags of groceries. His heart raced slightly as he knocked. Moments later, the door opened, revealing Sarah. At first, she looked confused, unsure who this stranger might be. Then her eyes widened in recognition. "Oh my goodness," she gasped. You're Keanu Reeves." Keanu chuckled softly and held up the bags. "Hi, Sarah. I hope you don't mind me stopping by. I heard about what you've been going through and I wanted to lend a hand." Sarah stood frozen for a moment, too stunned to respond. Finally, she managed to stammer. I don't know what to say. Are you serious right now?" "I'm very serious," Keanu replied with a warm smile. "And please don't feel like you have to thank me. This is just a little something to help out while we figure out how to move forward together." Together. That word hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. Sarah stepped aside to let him in, tears welling up in her eyes. Inside, the house was simple yet cozy. Toys were scattered across the living room floor and drawings decorated the walls. It was clear that despite their challenges, love filled every corner of this home. Mia and Max appeared moments later, their faces lighting up when they saw Keanu. "You came back!" Max exclaimed, rushing over to hug him. Mia followed close, behind, equally excited. For a brief moment, Keanu forgot about all the hardships they faced. All he could see was the joy and innocence of childhood, untainted by the world's difficulties. As they sat down in the living room, Keanu explained why he was there. He told Sarah about the donation he'd made to her crowdfunding campaign and shared Lisa's plans to provide ongoing support. "This isn't just about giving you a temporary fix," he said gently. "It's about creating opportunities for you and your kids to thrive. You've already shown incredible strength, Sarah. Now it's our turn to help you keep moving forward." Sarah listened quietly, tears streaming down her face. When Keanu finished speaking, she took a deep breath and looked at him with gratitude shining in her eyes. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. "No one has ever done anything like this for us before." "You don't have to thank me," Keanu replied sincerely. "Just keep being the amazing mom you are. That's all the thanks I need." Over the next hour, Keanu spent time talking with Sarah and playing with the twins. He helped Max build a tower out of blocks while Mia proudly showed off her latest artwork, a colorful drawing of her family standing under a rainbow. Laughter filled the room, and for the first time in ages, Sarah allowed herself to relax. The weight of her worries lifted slightly, replaced by a glimmer of hope she hadn't felt in years. Before leaving, Keanu promised to stay in touch. "This is just the beginning," he said as he hugged Sarah goodbye. "We're going to get through this together." And with those words, he stepped back into his car, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. What started as a chance encounter in the park had turned into something much bigger. A mission to remind Sarah and her children that they weren't alone. As Keanu drove away, he glanced at the rearview mirror, catching one last glimpse of the little house. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he also knew that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness could spark the biggest changes. Over the next few weeks, Keanu stayed true to his promise. He didn't just disappear after that first visit. Instead, he became a steady presence in Sarah's life and the lives of her children. Every few days, he would call to check in, asking how things were going and if there was anything else they needed. Sometimes he'd send small gifts, a book for Mia, a soccer ball for Max, or even a gift card for groceries. But what mattered most to Sarah wasn't the material help. It was the fact that someone cared enough to stay involved. In a world where people often turned away from struggles that weren't their own, Keanu's consistent support meant everything. Meanwhile, Lisa and her nonprofit team worked tirelessly behind the scenes to create a long-term plan for Sarah and her family. They began by connecting Sarah with financial advisors who helped her organize her debts and create a manageable budget. For the first time in years, Sarah could see a clear path forward. The overwhelming chaos of unpaid bills and looming deadlines started to fade, replaced by a sense of control she hadn't felt in a long time. It was like being handed a map after wandering lost in the dark. But Lisa didn't stop there. She knew that true stability came from empowering Sarah to stand on her own 2 feet. With Keanu's encouragement, Lisa enrolled Sarah in a job training program designed specifically for single parents. The program offered flexible hours so Sarah could still spend time with her kids while learning new skills. At first, Sarah hesitated. She worried about taking on something new when life already felt so heavy. But Keanu reassured her, reminding her that growth often came from stepping outside one's comfort zone. "You've already proven how strong you are," Keanu told her during one of their calls. "This is just another step toward building the future you deserve for yourself and your kids." Sarah took a deep breath and decided to give it a try. To her surprise, she found herself enjoying the classes. The instructors were patient and supportive, and the other participants quickly became friends. For the first time in years, Sarah felt like part of a community. She learned practical skills like computer programming and marketing, areas she never imagined exploring, but that sparked a newfound confidence within her. Each day she grew more excited about the possibilities ahead. While Sarah focused on her education, Keanu turned his attention to Mia and Max. He wanted to ensure the odd twins had opportunities to dream big and pursue their passions. One Saturday afternoon, he invited them to join him for a special outing. When they arrived at his house, Keanu greeted them with wide smiles and a surprise announcement. They were going to spend the day exploring Los Angeles. Their first stop? A science museum filled with interactive exhibits and hands-on activities. Mia's eyes sparkled as she built circuits and experimented with magnets, while Max couldn't contain his excitement when they reached the planetarium. As they gazed up at the simulated night sky, Keanu leaned over and whispered, "Do you think you'd like to be an astronaut someday?" Max grinned ear to ear and nodded enthusiastically. For Mia, the answer came later in the day when they visited an art gallery. Standing in front of a vibrant painting, she declared, "I want to make pictures like this when I grow up." Keanu smiled, knowing that these moments of discovery were planting seeds for their futures. Throughout the day, Keanu shared stories from his own childhood, talking about the challenges he faced growing up and how he overcame them. He wanted Mia and Max to understand that setbacks were a natural part of life, but with determination and support, anything was possible. By the end of the trip, the twins looked at Keanu not just as a kind stranger, but as someone they could trust and admire, a role model who believed in them. Back at home, Sarah noticed subtle changes in her children. They seemed happier, more confident, and eager to talk about their dreams. When Mia proudly showed her mom a sketchbook filled with drawings inspired by the art gallery, Sarah hugged her tightly and said, "I'm so proud of you." Max, meanwhile, spent hours pretending to pilot spaceships in the backyard, using cardboard boxes as his cockpit. Watching her kids thrive brought Sarah immense joy, and she realized that Keanu's influence extended far beyond financial assistance. It was helping her family heal and grow together. As the months passed, Keanu continued to play an active role in their lives. He attended parent-teacher conferences with Sarah, offering words of encouragement and celebrating Mia and Max's progress in school. He introduced Sarah to networking events hosted by Lisa's nonprofit, where she met professionals in fields related to her studies. These connections opened doors she hadn't known existed, giving her hope for a brighter career ahead. Slowly but surely, the pieces of their lives were falling into place. One evening, as Keanu sat on his couch reflecting on the journey so far, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Helping Sarah and her family wasn't about charity, it was about partnership. He saw himself not as a savior, but as someone fortunate enough to have the means and opportunity to make a difference. And in doing so, he discovered something unexpected. The act of giving enriched his own life in ways he hadn't anticipated. Seeing Sarah smile, hearing Mia laugh, and watching Max chase his dreams reminded Keanu of the beauty in humanity, the shared bond that connected us all. But Keanu also knew that the work wasn't done yet. While Sarah was making incredible strides, there were still challenges ahead. Building a better life took time, patience, and resilience, yet every small victory along the way proved that change was possible. Whether it was Sarah acing her first exam in the job training program, or Mia winning second place in a school art contest, each milestone reinforced the power of perseverance and community support. One afternoon, as Keanu prepared for another visit to Sarah's house, he thought about how much had changed since that fateful day in the park. What began as a simple act of kindness, buying a toy car from two determined kids, had blossomed into something transformative. It wasn't just Sarah and her family who were growing. Keanu was too. Through their story, he learned that compassion wasn't a fleeting gesture but a lifelong commitment. And as he drove toward their home, carrying a bag of fresh pastries and a heart full of gratitude, he knew that this was only the beginning of a beautiful friendship. As the months rolled on, Sarah began to notice a shift, not just in her circumstances but within herself. The job training program was challenging, no doubt, but it also gave her a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in years. Each class brought new knowledge, and each assignment pushed her to think creatively and solve problems. Slowly, the doubts that had haunted her for so long started to fade. She realized she was capable of more than she ever imagined. For the first time since losing her husband, Sarah allowed herself to dream again. One evening, after tucking Mia and Max into bed, Sarah sat at the kitchen table with her laptop open. She scrolled through job listings recommended by Lisa's nonprofit team, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. There were positions in marketing, data entry, and even customer service, all fields she'd been studying. But one listing caught her eye: a part-time role as an assistant coordinator for a local community center. The description mentioned organizing events, managing volunteers, and supporting families in need. It sounded perfect, exactly the kind of work that combined her skills and her passion for helping others. Sarah hesitated for a moment, wondering if she was ready to apply. What if they didn't think she was qualified? What if she failed? Just as these thoughts crept in, she remembered Keanu's words. "You've already proven how strong you are." Taking a deep breath, she clicked the Apply Now button and began filling out the form. By the time she hit submit, a wave of relief washed over her. Whether or not she got the job, she had taken a step forward, a step toward reclaiming her life. A week later, Sarah received an email inviting her for an interview. Her heart raced as she read the message. This was her chance to show what she could do. With Keanu's encouragement, she prepared thoroughly, practicing answers to potential questions and rehearsing stories about her experiences as a single mom juggling multiple responsibilities. On the day of the interview, she dressed in her best outfit, a navy blue blazer and slacks, and walked into the community center with her head held high. The interview went better than she expected. The hiring manager, a friendly woman named Clara, seemed genuinely impressed by Sarah's determination and resilience. When asked why she wanted the job, Sarah spoke honestly. "I've been through hard times, and I know what it's like to need support," she said. "If I can help other families the way people have helped mine, then this job will mean everything to me." By the end of the conversation, Clara smiled warmly. "Thank you for sharing your story, Sarah. We'll be in touch soon." 2 days later, Sarah received another email. This time it contained an offer letter. She burst into tears of joy as she read the words, "Congratulations, you've been selected for the position." It wasn't a high-paying job, but it was stable, meaningful, and offered room for growth. More importantly, it gave Sarah a renewed sense of hope. When Keanu heard the news, he couldn't have been prouder. He called Sarah immediately, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "This is incredible, Sarah. You deserve every bit of this success. How are you feeling?" "I'm still trying to process it," Sarah admitted, laughing through her tears. It feels like a dream come true. I never thought I'd be here, you know. But now, I feel like maybe things are finally turning around. Keanu's smile widened as he listened to her. That's because they are. You've worked so hard for this, and now you're seeing the results. I'm so happy for you. While Sarah celebrated her new job, Keanu continued to focus on Mia and Max. He wanted to ensure the twins stayed inspired and motivated as they grew older. One weekend, he arranged a special outing just for them, a trip to a nearby planetarium followed by dinner at their favorite pizza place. As they strolled through the exhibits, Keanu encouraged the kids to ask questions and explore their interests. Max, still obsessed with space, eagerly pointed out constellations and planets, while Mia sketched scenes from the displays in her notebook. During dinner, Keanu turned the conversation toward their dreams. "So, Max," he began, twirling a strand of cheese from his slice of pizza, "what's your plan for becoming an astronaut? Do you think you'll study science in school?" Max nodded seriously. "Yeah, I want to learn all about rockets and stars. Maybe I'll even invent my own spaceship someday." Keanu chuckled. "That sounds amazing. And what about you, Mia? Are you going to be a famous artist?" Mia blushed, but grinned. "Maybe, or maybe I'll design cool things like posters or buildings. I just really love making stuff." Keanu leaned back in his chair, watching the twins with admiration. "Whatever you choose to do, I know you'll both be great at it. Just remember, no dream is too big if you're willing to work for it." The conversation lingered in Mia and Max's minds long after the meal ended. They returned home buzzing with ideas, eager to share their plans with their mom. Sarah listened intently, her heart swelling with pride. Seeing her children so full of ambition and confidence made her realize how far they'd come as a family. Their struggles hadn't disappeared entirely, but they were learning to face challenges together, with strength, love, and hope. As the weeks passed, Sarah settled into her new role at the community center. She quickly became a beloved figure among the staff and families she served. Her personal experiences gave her a unique perspective, allowing her to connect deeply with those who came seeking help. In turn, the sense of fulfillment she gained from her work boosted her confidence even further. At home, she found herself laughing more, worrying less, and cherishing the little moments with her kids. Keanu remained a constant presence in their lives, though he made sure never to overshadow Sarah's achievements. Instead, he celebrated her successes quietly, always reminding her that she was the one driving the change. When Sarah completed her job training program with honors, Keanu sent her a heartfelt note congratulating her on her hard work. When Mia won an art competition at school, he surprised her with a set of professional-grade paints. And when Max scored his first goal in a soccer match, Keanu cheered louder than anyone else in the stands. Through it all, Keanu marveled at the resilience of this family. They had faced unimaginable hardships, yet they refused to give up. Their courage inspired him to reflect on his own life and the importance of using his platform for good. He began sharing snippets of their journey with close friends and colleagues, hoping to inspire others to take action in their communities. Though he kept Sarah and the twins' identities private, he emphasized the impact of kindness and perseverance. One evening, as Keanu sat on his porch gazing at the stars, he thought about how interconnected we all are. Helping Sarah and her family had taught him that everyone has the power to make a difference, no matter how small the gesture might seem. Buying a toy car from two determined kids had led to a ripple effect of positive change, not just for Sarah and her children, but for Keanu himself. It reminded him that humanity thrives on compassion, connection, and the willingness to lend a hand. The next morning, Keanu woke up with a fresh idea. He decided to organize a small gathering to celebrate Sarah's progress and bring together the people who had supported her along the way, Lisa, Clara, and a few others from the nonprofit. He rented a cozy event space and decorated it with photos of Mia and Max's artwork, along with a timeline highlighting Sarah's milestones. When Sarah arrived with her kids, she was overwhelmed with emotion. Tears streamed down her face as she hugged each person in attendance, thanking them for believing in her when she struggled to believe in herself. "You've given me more than just help," Sarah said during a brief speech. "You've shown me that I'm not alone, that no matter how hard things get, there are people who care, and for that I'll always be grateful." As the evening drew to a close, Keanu stood beside Sarah, watching Mia and Max play games with the other guests. He felt a profound sense of gratitude for Sarah's strength, for the twins' laughter, and for the reminder that even in a world often divided, acts of kindness could unite us all. Months turned into a year, and Sarah's life continued to transform in ways she once thought impossible. Her new job at the community center became more than just a source of income. It gave her a sense of purpose and belonging. Every day, she interacted with families who reminded her of her own struggles, and every success story she witnessed fueled her determination to keep giving back. She learned quickly, took on additional responsibilities, and even started mentoring other single parents who were trying to rebuild their lives. It was as if all the pain and hardship she had endured had prepared her for this moment, to be a beacon of hope for others. At home, Mia and Max thrived under the stability their mom worked so hard to provide. With Keanu's encouragement, they pursued their passions with renewed energy. Mia joined an after-school art club where she honed her skills and gained confidence in her creativity. Her sketches evolved into vibrant paintings, and soon her work began appearing in local exhibitions. One evening, when Sarah walked into a small gallery and saw one of Mia's pieces hanging on the wall, she felt tears welling up in her eyes. The painting, a colorful depiction of a family standing beneath a glowing sun, wasn't just art. It was a testament to how far they'd come together. Max, meanwhile, dove headfirst into his love for space exploration. He spent hours reading books about planets, stars, and astronauts, often peppering Keanu with questions whenever they spoke. Keanu, always eager to encourage him, gifted Max a telescope for his birthday. On clear nights, they would set it up in Keanu's backyard and gaze at the moon and constellations. Max marveled at the vastness of the universe, dreaming of the day he might contribute to humanity's understanding of it. His enthusiasm was infectious, and Sarah couldn't help but smile whenever she heard him talk about his plans to become an engineer or astronaut. Keanu remained a steady presence in their lives, though he never sought recognition for his role in their journey. To him, helping Sarah and her children wasn't about fame or praise. It was about making a tangible difference. Still, there were moments when he couldn't resist sharing their story with trusted friends, hoping to inspire others to take action. During a casual dinner with Lisa and a few colleagues from her nonprofit, Keanu recounted how meeting the twins in the park had led to this incredible chain of events. "It's amazing what can happen when you decide to step in," Keanu said, his voice filled with admiration. "Sarah is one of the strongest people I've ever met. And those kids, they have hearts of gold. They remind me that no matter how tough life gets, there's always room for kindness and hope." Lisa nodded, in agreement. "And look at what your kindness sparked, Keanu. You didn't just change their lives, you gave them tools to change their own future. That's the power of believing in someone." The conversation stayed with Keanu long after the meal ended. It made him reflect on the ripple effect of compassion. A single act, buying a toy car from two determined kids, had grown into something far greater than he could have imagined. He realized that everyone has the ability to create positive change, whether through grand gestures or simple acts of generosity. What mattered most was the intention behind it. As winter approached, Keanu decided to host another gathering, this time as a way to celebrate the family's progress over the past year. He rented a cozy cabin nestled in the mountains, surrounded by towering pine trees and blanketed in fresh snow. It was a place where they could escape the noise of the city and simply enjoy each other's company. When Sarah, Mia, and Max arrived, they were greeted with warm hugs, hot cocoa, and the smell of wood burning in the fireplace. "This is incredible, Keanu," Sarah said, looking around in awe. "I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done." "You already have," Keanu replied with a soft smile. "Just seeing how happy and strong you all are is more than enough." Over the next few days, the group bonded in ways they never expected. They built snowmen, went sledding down gentle slopes, and roasted marshmallows by the fire. One night, as they sat together under a sky filled with stars, Keanu asked everyone to share their favorite memory from the past year. Sarah spoke about the first day she walked into her new job feeling nervous but hopeful. Mia talked about the pride she felt when her painting was displayed in the gallery. And Max grinned widely as he described spotting Saturn's rings through his telescope for the very first time. When it was Keanu's turn, he paused for a moment, choosing his words carefully. My favorite memory is harder to pick because there are so many, he admitted. But I think what stands out most is seeing how much courage and love this family has shown. You've taught me that resilience isn't about being fearless. It's about moving forward even when you're scared. That's something we can all learn from. His words brought tears to Sarah's eyes, and she reached over to squeeze his hand. We wouldn't be here without you, Keanu. You've been our guardian angel. Keanu shook his head gently. No, Sarah. You did this. All I did was show up. The rest was all you. By the end of the trip, the bond between them had deepened even further. Sarah, Mia, and Max returned home with hearts full of gratitude and memories they would cherish forever. But Keanu knew their journey wasn't over yet. There would still be challenges ahead, as there always are in life. However, he also knew that Sarah and her children were better equipped to face them now. They had each other, and they had a community of supporters cheering them on. Back in Los Angeles, Keanu couldn't stop thinking about the impact of their story. He wanted to share it, not for personal gain, but to remind others of the power of compassion. After careful consideration, he wrote a heartfelt post on social media, keeping Sarah and the twins' identities private while highlighting the importance of helping those in need. He included photos from their mountain getaway, capturing moments of laughter, joy, and connection. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can lead to the biggest changes, Keanu wrote. Meeting this incredible family reminded me that we're all connected and that lending a hand can make a world of difference. If you see someone struggling, don't hesitate to reach out. You never know how much your support might mean to them. The post went viral almost instantly, touching thousands of people around the world. Messages poured in from strangers sharing their own stories of kindness and resilience. Some promised to volunteer at local charities, while others pledged to donate to causes supporting single-parent families. Keanu read through the comments with a mixture of surprise and gratitude. He hadn't anticipated such a response, but it reinforced his belief in the goodness of humanity. In the weeks that followed, Sarah noticed a shift, not just in her own life, but in the community around her. Inspired by Keanu's message, neighbors began reaching out to offer help or simply check in. Parents at Mia and Max's school organized fundraisers to support families in need, and local businesses partnered with Lisa's nonprofit to expand its programs. It was as if a spark had ignited, spreading warmth and hope throughout the area. For Sarah, the changes were both humbling and empowering. She realized that her family's story wasn't just about survival. It was about thriving against the odds. And while she knew they still had a long road ahead, she faced it with unwavering determination. With Keanu's guidance, Lisa's support, and her own unyielding spirit, she was ready to embrace whatever came next. One evening, as Sarah tucked Mia and Max into bed, she kissed their foreheads and whispered, "Remember, no matter what happens, we'll always have each other, and we'll always have people who care about us too." The twins smiled sleepily, their dreams filled with possibilities. Outside, the city lights twinkled like stars, reminding Sarah of the endless opportunities waiting beyond the horizon. Life wasn't perfect, but it was beautiful. And for the first time in years, she felt truly hopeful about the future. As the months passed, Sarah's life continued to flourish in ways she had once only dreamed of. Her role at the community center expanded, and she was soon promoted to a leadership position. It was a testament to her hard work, dedication, and the trust others placed in her. She spent her days organizing workshops, mentoring families, and creating programs designed to uplift those facing similar struggles. Each success story she witnessed reminded her of her own journey and reinforced her belief that no one should have to face hardship alone. At home, Mia and Max grew into confident, curious children who radiated joy and ambition. Mia's artistic talent blossomed further, earning her recognition not just locally but also regionally. A local art gallery owner approached her about hosting a solo exhibition, a dream come true for any young artist. Though nervous at first, Mia embraced the opportunity with excitement, pouring her heart into every piece she created. On the opening night, Sarah watched proudly as strangers admired her daughter's work, marveling at the depth of emotion captured in each painting. For Mia, it wasn't just about showcasing her art. It was about sharing her family's story of resilience and hope. Max, too, found his place in the world. His fascination with space led him to join a school science club, where he quickly became one of its most enthusiastic members. When the club announced they would participate in a national competition to design a model spacecraft, Max threw himself into the project. With Keanu's encouragement, he spent countless hours researching, sketching designs, and building prototypes. The process wasn't easy. There were moments of frustration and doubt, but Max refused to give up. When the team's entry won second place in the competition, Max beamed with pride, knowing that his efforts had paid off. To celebrate, Keanu took him on a trip to a nearby observatory, where they spent hours gazing at distant galaxies through powerful telescopes. It was a moment neither of them would ever forget. Keanu, meanwhile, remained an integral part of their lives. He continued to check in regularly, offering advice, encouragement, and support whenever needed. But more than anything, he served as a constant reminder that kindness could change lives. His presence inspired Sarah to pay it forward, and she began volunteering even more of her time to help other struggling families. Whether it was organizing food drives, tutoring kids after school, or simply listening to someone who needed a friend, Sarah poured her energy into making a difference. In doing so, she discovered a profound sense of fulfillment she had never experienced before. One spring afternoon, Keanu invited Sarah and her children to join him for a picnic in the same park where their journey had begun. As they spread out, a blanket beneath the shade of a large oak tree, Keanu looked around and smiled. "This feels full circle, doesn't it?" he said, gesturing to the familiar surroundings. Sarah nodded, her eyes misty with emotion. "It really does. I can't believe how much has changed since that day you bought that little toy car from Mia and Max." Mia giggled, holding up the now worn red car. "We still have it, you know. It's kind of like our lucky charm." Keanu laughed, shaking his head in amazement. "That car started something incredible, but it wasn't the car, it was you three. You showed me what true strength looks like." The afternoon passed in laughter and reflection. They reminisced about the challenges they'd overcome and the milestones they'd celebrated together. Sarah shared stories of the families she'd helped at the community center, while Mia and Max excitedly talked about their future plans. Max declared he wanted to study engineering in college, while Mia dreamed of traveling the world to find inspiration for her art. Listening to them, Keanu felt a deep sense of gratitude for the opportunity to be part of their journey and for the lessons they had taught him along the way. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Keanu pulled Sarah aside for a quiet conversation. "You've accomplished so much, Sarah," he said sincerely. "But I want you to remember something. This isn't the end of your story. It's just the beginning. Keep believing in yourself, because the best is yet to come." Sarah smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "I will, Keanu, and thank you for everything. You've given us more than you'll ever know." Keanu shook his head gently. "No, Sarah. You've done all the hard work. I'm just grateful to have been able to help." In the weeks that followed, Keanu decided to take Sarah's story to a broader audience, not to seek attention for himself, but to inspire others to act with compassion. He partnered with Lisa's nonprofit to create a documentary highlighting the importance of supporting single-parent families. The film featured interviews with Sarah, community leaders, and volunteers showcasing the transformative power of collective effort. It ended with a simple message: kindness changes lives. Be the change. When the documentary premiered, it resonated deeply with viewers around the globe. People were moved by Sarah's courage, Mia and Max's determination, and Keanu's humility. Donations poured into Lisa's nonprofit, allowing them to expand their programs and reach even more families in need. Schools, businesses, and individuals rallied together, forming networks of support that spanned cities and countries. What had started as a small act of kindness, a toy car sold by two determined kids, had sparked a movement. For Sarah, the newfound attention brought both pride and responsibility. She became a spokesperson for the cause, sharing her story at conferences and events. Though public speaking didn't come naturally to her, she pushed through her nerves because she knew her words could make a difference. "If my story can inspire just one person to keep going, then it's worth it," she often said. As time went on, Keanu stepped back slightly, knowing that Sarah and her family no longer needed his direct involvement. They were thriving on their own, surrounded by love and support. Still, he stayed in touch, always ready to offer guidance or simply share a laugh over dinner. Their bond had grown beyond mentorship. It was a friendship built on mutual respect and admiration. Years later, when Mia graduated high school as a valedictorian and Max earned a scholarship to study aerospace engineering, Keanu attended their ceremonies with tears in his eyes. Watching them walk across the stage, diplomas in hand, filled him with immense pride. These were the same kids who had once stood behind a makeshift table selling toys to help their mom. Now, they were poised to achieve greatness, carrying with them the values of resilience, kindness, and gratitude. On the drive home from Max's graduation, Keanu reflected on the journey they had shared. He realized that helping Sarah and her children had changed him in profound ways. It had reminded him of the beauty in humanity, the connections we forge, the lives we touch, and the ripple effects of even the smallest acts of kindness. He thought about the red toy car sitting on his shelf at home, a symbol of where it all began. It wasn't just a toy. It was a reminder that sometimes the simplest gestures could lead to extraordinary outcomes. That night, as Keanu sat on his porch gazing at the stars, he felt a deep sense of peace. Life was unpredictable, filled with challenges and uncertainties. But amidst it all, there was light. Light that came from compassion, connection, and the unwavering belief that everyone deserved a chance to thrive. Sarah, Mia, and Max had taught him that lesson in the most beautiful way possible, and for that he would forever be grateful. Far away in their cozy home, Sarah tucked Mia and Max into bed one last time before turning in herself. As she drifted off to sleep, she thought about how far they had come, from selling toys in a park to standing tall as a family united by love and hope. No matter what the future held, she knew they would face it together, with courage, determination, and the knowledge that kindness could truly change the world.